Good afternoon, everybody. How you doing? It's wee Paddy from across the shuck. Another wee video for you today. And today, you've seen the title, History of the Sheepsfoot. Now, that's a very simple title, but when you go back in time to the 18th and 19th century, it's not just quite as clear as that. Some people say it's shaped like a sheep's foot, which it doesn't appear to be. And others say it was used by shepherds to cut the toenails of the sheep. And that makes sense because there isn't a point and you can get in there and you're not too worried if the sheep moves his foot, or you're not going to stab it with a pointed blade. That makes sense. And another thing, again, in that same time period, the 18th to 19th century, it was called a sailor's knife. And you can see the reasoning for that. It doesn't have a point. So if you're doing something with a knife and the ship lurches to the side, you're less likely to stab yourself or somebody else, because you used to slide down the decks and everything. It was just wooden decks. And when they're wet, they were lethal. So you would have slide down with a knife in your hand. At least it didn't have a point. So there's less chance of you doing more damage to somebody. Or if you're up above in the riggings, you drop your knife. You're not dropping a point of a knife if it ends up coming down that way. But the other thing on that one is that captains started doing it. They used to check their ship's company when they came on board. They would have checked what knives they had, because obviously that was the tools of the trade for rope work and all that sort of thing. So they had to have a knife. And he snapped the blades off at the tip so that there was no tip. And that wasn't to do with work. It was for fights on board or mutinies where you wouldn't have had a knife with a tip. So, I mean, there's plenty of reasons why the sheep's foot is called a sheep's foot. But, I mean, and again, around that time, the 19th century, tradesmen started to use them. Because as you know, a sheep's foot, if you're a whittler, the sheep's foot is a fantastic blade. You've got a direct straight line to cut down on. There's no curve to the blade. It makes perfect sense why tradesmen like joiners would have used that, because they can get them exact cuts when they're cutting in and they want a sharp angle. It's a straight blade, plus it's easier to sharpen. And that was probably one of the best reasons to have a knife with a completely straight blade. And that's what a sheep's foot have. There's a sheep's foot. And this is a sailor's knife. This is a modern one from the 1900s. This is a sheep's foot knife. You've got that flat surface. And then you have the gradually coming down points. And these come in different styles of graduation. Like all knives, there's not, you get one knife variant like this. I mean, a lot of the ones are nearly like a large coping blade where they come nearly straight down, and then longer ones. But we'll see them. This is my collection of slip joints of sheep's foot blades, and we'll go through a couple of them, and you'll see the differences. But a sheep's foot is the same distance here as it is here, and that's what makes a sheep's foot. That is the basics of all sheep's foots. It's here and here. Is that the distance is the same. Don't worry about this rounded and slanted bit too much about it. This is the sheep's foot bit that sort of all sheep's foots have, is they're the same. It's a parallel line. So there you go. This is a perfect one. This is a sailor's one. This is a modern day. You have a marlin spike and you have the sheep's foot blade. And these are used by sailors around the world today. I'll take that off just because it's a bit large. So that's where the origin of that would have come from. And you can see that, you can't really stab with this knife. It's not a great stabbing because the point is not sharp here as such. It's just right down on the very tip. So sheep's foot that I've got in my collection, and it's one of the most used blades I have. This is one, and I didn't show this when I was doing my slippy, showing my slippy knives that he's modded. He modded this one for me and put this beautiful basket wood on it, which is just stunning and beautifully hafted. And he made an amazing job on this knife. This was the first knife I gave him to do. And I think it was the first time he'd done a sort of, a more higher end knife. And he just made an amazing job of it. Look at the fit and finish on that. It is gorgeous. This is an older knife, and this is one of my most used knives. Now, it was all badly pitted. It's carbon steel, so it was pitted and well used. It's starting to get that way again because I use it. It hasn't gone to anything particularly hot. I know it cut a couple of bananas up the other night, but that's about it. And then this just is a very straightforward little sheep's foot blade Again, same distance here as there is in the top. That's the definition of it. And I love this knife. A little easy open. And I'm not a sailor. Well, I was, but I'm not now. I'm not a sailor, or I'm not a vet. I don't do sheep's husbandry, if that's what it's called. But I mean, this is just a great all-round EDC knife. And the other nice thing about a Sheepsfoot is the spine thickness goes right down to just where the curve goes down to here. So that gives you a strong, if you want to do like straight cuts in wood, or you want to do anything that involves that straight cut where you're going to put a bit of pressure, although this is a small knife and it's not particularly thin, but that thinness, the thickness of the blade stays all the way to the end, which for everyday cutting and use is perfect. And it's also good for if you want to get the blade, a pointed blade, and do your pull cuts with it. So there you go. Another one that I use a lot is, this is my Northwoods, and I love this. That Sheepsfoot blade, again, same here, the same here. But this one, they used to call it, well, they did call this, and some of us still do, the Bone Cliff, because it was Derek Bone who designed this pattern of knife for Northwoods, and it's more to do with the swedges, the cuts. It's got that sabre grind on it, and it's a lovely blade, but it's a Sheepsfoot. That's what it is, straight along the edge. And that's why I was saying to you about the difference in how these come down. That is not what the knife... These are just my opinions. I haven't done quite a lot of reading up on it. He says quite a lot. I've done a lot. But you can see the difference. This has got a more rounded and goes down at a slighter angle. But it's that Sheepsfoot. It's thin. Or same here, same here. That's it. And I'm going to show you why that's relevant. And I'll leave that one out just to show you that. And I'll do that now before we go through more. Well, no, I won't. Here's another one of my most used. This is the first custom knife I ever had made from Ashley Harrison. It's been on the show a lot. If you've seen it, I'm sorry, but I still love it today as much as I did when I ordered it. This is a good, solid Sheepsfoot. You can see, same here, and that more abrupt again, Sheepsfoot look. And to me, this is what the authentic Sheepsfoot would have looked very like. Again, you've got that thick spine, and you can see more here. There you go. You can see how that thickness comes right out to here, so that even if you want to do with the thinnest part of the Sheepsfoot here, if you want that, you've got precision. You can put pressure there and get that sharp, neat little cut into something that has to be done delicately, more like a joiner would use rather than anything else. But you can see again, safety is, the point is not directly, you're not stabbing, you can't stab with it. It's not meant for that. And in fact, for the sailors, it's meant to prevent that, because sailors can be bad people when they've had a couple of drinks. But anyway, let's show you. We've got this Sheepsfoot, and the ones that people tend to, if you're just around, again, this is probably more to you, but I just feel it's important. The Sheepsfoot also came in the Stockman's knife, which was a later addition to the knife collecting. You got the 3-bladed Stockman, the Sheepsfoot being the middle one, and usually the most used, the sturdiest one. And not always the middle, but you know what I mean, mostly. So there's a Sheepsfoot again, and it's just that distance between the here and here. It's exactly the same, a bit more rounded in this one, but again, if you can see, the strength of the blade goes right out towards the tip, which makes it great for that detailed work where you want to put a bit of pressure down and you want to get a sharp, acute cut. Beautiful again, beautiful cutting straight down. Just a really super, I like it for EDC, and I was surprised how little of these knives I did have. Very surprised how little I had, but that's just the way it goes. So that's your Sheepsfoot where we normally see it, other than a single bladed Sheepsfoot, is on your Stockman pattern. And I don't have a ram's foot, but here's a ram's. If you take this, would have been straight edge. A ram's foot is this exact shape where it's smaller here and bigger at this end, and you have a straight edge. This is a Rough Rider Reserve one, and I love this better than the ram's foot itself because it has that slight belly, and that it's good. You can get further down, and if you want to cut across the way, you can slice better with it. This has got a beautiful edge on it, nice and slicey. If you can see, it's just slightly bigger at this end than it is at this end. And that's it. The saber grind on this Rough Rider one is really excellent because it comes up and lets you get that thinner tip at the end, although it's not that much thinner, but it's just a beautiful knife. Real great working knives. And if you want to go, here's a custom version of it. This is a Dino pattern, they call this in the custom world. Very similar, shorter, stockier sort of a blade, where they make it narrower. You can see that. It's a bit narrow up the top, but it still has the same principles. It's, it's a sheepsfoot. It's same here as it is here, although you've got a shorter bit, but there you go. It's exactly the same, but you would have the straight edge. This again has a very slight belly on it, and the Dino pattern's to do with the handle shape as well. But just a super efficient knife. If you want knives that work, the Sheepsfoot is it. And that's what it was always designed to be, a working knife. When you think of the origin, whichever one you want to believe, whether it was a captain snapping off the blades, and that's where they decided just to get blades made with that on it rather than a captain snapping them off. I can see where that makes sense, makes perfect sense. The Sheepsfoot, they would have had that small little blade to cut their toenails off, keep them in check, and keep them healthy. So that makes sense as well. So you've got to I think we just got to leave it, because going back to the 18th century, it's very hard to get any physical evidence, any written evidence of what they were called. So there you go. That's the blade. Some of the other really pretty ones I've got this one. I was using this week. This is one that's got, there you go. You can see how I do use it, and you can see the way it is well used. It's a beautiful knife though. This is a Shatton Morgan Sheepsfoot blade. Just a stunning knife. Love the bone on this. Fantastic knife. And let's go to a basic knife. And I've got two here to show you. This one is a twisted assisted version of an Arthur Wright's. And there you go, that lovely Sheepsfoot blade. Beautiful. You can see the Arthur Wright there. It's got beautiful, I think these are rosewood scales on this one. Beautiful scales on it. But they have red liners, which donates Heine special runs where they get other companies to make knives for them in red, or red liners, which is this case in this one. And honestly, this one is just, the amount of people got this, couple of wee small gaps. This is just a fantastic knife. The blade, they were fantastic on these. Absolutely super. If you're going to get one of these, Heine, good strong pull on this. Great snap. Super. And again, I think these were about £50, somewhere around that from Twisted Assisted. You can get the basic Heine model, which is around the 40s. And then this is another one, which was around, I can't remember what price this was. I think I bought this one. Did I buy it? No, I actually bought this one new, I think. This is a, what do they call it? Bear & Son. This is the Bear & Son. And that is a Sheepsfoot. Look at that commanding blade. This is a hollow grind on here. A very thick top surface. You have that long pull. You have the good sturdy blade. Now they've swedged it here to make it look that the thickness is not there. But the thickness, as you can see, runs all the way along. Slight swedging, but it's right up to here is where that thickness is, where you're going to do them direct down cuts if that's what you want. This is a 4-inch knife down to 3.5. The GECs are 3.5 inch. Just super knives. Really useful. And it's a knife that I use a lot of. I say out of them, what is there, 7 there? There's at least 4 I use on a very regular basis. This is just another little barrel. This is a GEC barrel. This is another one that I use a lot. I haven't long had this. I've only had this about 6 months or something, maybe a wee bit longer. But this is one you can see by that. It's used. Again, it hasn't seen much hot use. And I don't particularly just put a knife in a hot thing to get patina. Patina to me is something that comes naturally. And because I don't use my knives a whole lot, no real rough, it takes a while. But to me, when it gets there, it's just a joy. It's a well lived in knife and something I really like. And if you like antiques, well, there's nothing more perfect. I haven't showed you these. This is a beautiful Rogers. And look at that for a lamb's foot, which is one of the other blades. The lamb's foot, which is thicker here and thinner here. Just super. That is a gorgeous looking knife, isn't it? And it's just for every reason that the other ones are, but more delicate, more small, not needed for heavy tasks, just needed, but yet it can do them. but just more if you want to get in somewhere a bit narrower, you know, you want to get in. This has got that longer sweep down to the tip where you can get in somewhere and do a bit of detailed work. But other than that, just as a pocket knife, fantastic. Straight edge again on that one. And this one is the Wharncliffe, which is another one that's confused a lot of people. This one, what stands out in a Wharncliffe is where it comes along and it starts going down somewhere in the middle. Well, before the middle, it starts that journey down the way. And that's what makes a Wharncliffe, again, the straight edge. But the end of it doesn't have as much meat as the lamb's foot or the sheep's foot if you want to get that detailed work right up close. Great for whittling as well, though. So they all have their purpose, and I hope you enjoyed seeing them. And if you enjoy this type of video, please let me know, and I'll do more of these. And there's my big sailor's knife at the top. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe and comment. Told you it's all free, never will get charged. That's not what it's for. It's just to get our videos out and so that we can get more of you to watch what we're putting out. Thank you very much. Take care. Paddy's away. Bye-bye now.